Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Shine Spotlight, where I am featuring the gorgeous, free-spirited Seana Ann out of the Bohemian Blonde. Seana escaped the 9-to-5 in her successful career as an event coordinator and director for some of the biggest events with like 80,000 attendees. So she was high-level corporate ladder climbing, and something wasn't sitting right in her soul. And she decided to take a courageous leap of faith and to start her own business after building big brands up, because what we've realized is that we no longer have to work for the man, we can work for ourselves. And today's conversation is going to inspire you that even if you don't know exactly what your passion is, even if you don't know exactly what's the next step to take or how to start that podcast, or what do I even charge for this talent and skill that I have, today's conversation is going to just inspire you that no matter what your fear is, that your freedom is on the other side, that you can do this no matter what doubt you have today. We've all experienced those same doubts, those same setbacks, those same fears. So we're going to address some of those today and remind you that if you have a dream, it can be achieved. So thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for being here, Seana. You have been such a pleasure to work with. Seana's been one of my coaching clients in my 90-day coaching intensive, and to watch her journey of building her business and really owning her authentic truth and stepping into that powerful light worker that she is meant to be and to shine has been one of the biggest blessings to witness. So thank you for being here. Thank you for shining your light. I am so grateful that you're here.
Thank you. Woo, I'm excited too.
So welcome. Oh my gosh, it's so cool to team up with other powerful women, especially when some of us powerful women doubt ourselves a little bit, because it always comes up. So can you walk us through a little bit of your journey? Like, what got you inspired to go after, that corporate ladder that you decided to climb was a pretty big one. So what inspired you to go after those dreams? And then what shifted for you? What was that turning point where you're like, I don't think this is right for my soul anymore?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the intro too. It's always so crazy hearing the intro on the other side. It's like, oh my gosh, nuts.
Like, that's me? Oh my gosh.
So thank you for that. So my journey, I was in a great 9-to-5 job. I actually really loved my job for a long time. And, event planning has always been something that I really enjoyed, and working with celebrities was super cool. And I was in that mode of like, this is what you do after college, right? You go, you get a job, and, you climb your way up the corporate ladder. And somewhere in between there, I started to really suffer from anxiety that boiled over into panic attacks. And I was sitting in boardroom meetings and my heart was racing and something just felt funky. And for the first time, I think I Googled like how to cure anxiety or something like that. And these YouTube videos would pop up from Gabby Bernstein. So I'm sure everyone in your community knows who Gabby Bernstein is.
I think that's almost like where I got started too. She was one of the first people that popped up as like, hey, you need a new path that you've never heard of before. Let's try this.
Yeah. And I did meditation for the first time, and it was like that little thing that clicks, and it was like, whoop, that felt good. That was great. I want to keep doing that. I want to keep leaning into this. And the days where I would have those panic attacks, or the things that would trigger me in the corporate office, I started to notice like, oh, I can handle this. Like, I am much more calm. I like this. And then the opposite things started happening. I had conversations with my husband where I would be leaving work, and my husband's a musician. So as soon as 9-to-5 is done, he's in creating, and he's in his joy, and he's in his passion. And I was leaving my 9-to-5, and I'm like, I'm not lit up with my job anymore. I'm really bored. Like, I need something. I need a hobby. And so I started with yoga and meditation, and all these doors start opening in your life, and you're like, wait a minute, like, life is worth living, and there's so much out there beyond a corporate structure. And it was like my world just completely switched, and I started to wake up. So yeah. Do you want me to keep going?
I think it's really important, like something you said that isn't even a big part of the story, but is a huge part of the story. You said, my husband comes home and works on his passion as a musician. That shows me that there's so many of us like in jobs right now that aren't like in alignment with our passion, right? So it's like, that's the first step, is like, what are you passionate about if you're not pursuing that in your career? For me, it was a little bit different because I said no to college. I said no to my parents' desires. I said no to all the ways that society said to go do life after high school. And I chose my passion, which was to like make things pretty. And that was hair. And I chose hair school. And that was one of the hardest things. It's interesting because so many people are told what to do, and like, this is just how it is. You just go and you follow the plan because you've been told what to do for so long. And then it becomes hard to take responsibility, to be the choice maker. So you get yourself into college, you go get your job, and now you are waiting for someone to tell you what to do. And that doesn't happen after you get out of college and you're in your first corporate job and you're having anxiety attacks and you're stressed out and you don't know what's wrong. And I feel like the physical signs are always like one of the last symptoms to show up, honestly, to let you know that your spirit is like, hey girl, hey, something needs to change. So it just, something you said really struck me about my husband comes home and then works on his passion project. There's two things to that. One, why isn't he doing it during 9 to 5? And which we're working on. We know that, and that we're all doing that. That's also the second part of that, is that we all have this 9 to 5 job. I'm still a hairdresser because I'm still building that foundation of doing like my new soul calling, or this new path that I'm being led down to inspire other people. So I think it's really important for people to recognize that there is a balance in transition. You don't just like, there's not many people that just say, I quit my 9 to 5. Like, now I'm going to build my business from scratch, from the ground up with $0. Like, it really doesn't work that way. So can you describe to me, like, what did that process look like when you were like, okay, I'm done with this corporate ladder. I'm getting this like new insight from meditation. Like, my soul is starting to like nudge me in this direction. Like, what was the next step? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, and a big part of it too was, up until that point, I was living a life that appeased everyone else, right? It was doing what, like you said, it's like, I feel like you and I have this yin and yang, right? Because I went in this whole route of like, can I just make you happy? Is it like, can I make my parents happy, make my boss happy? It was like trying to give to everyone. And when I started to reflect back in what meditation and yoga and all that calls for you to do, was like, well, you got something going on here. Let's start speaking up on it. So my big thing, and it's funny because we know, like, when we ask, people will show up in our lives. And I met a great friend of mine from college. She was posting on social media, and she was in a network marketing company. I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, she gets to, she had a baby at the time and she's working from home and like doing all this stuff. And I'm like, maybe that's me. Maybe that's what I should be leaning into. And so I tried the network marketing thing for about 1.5 years. Loved that taste of entrepreneurship. It was being able to combine all this stuff I had learned in corporate America of branding and marketing and social media strategy with, like, you put yourself in a business, and you have to become your brand and you have to help people. And now it's no longer about giving all the time, but it's like you're serving from your soul and you're helping other people achieve their goals. And so it was what bit me in the butt for entrepreneurship. And slowly but surely led me out the door of corporate America. Like so many people, when you start listening to podcasts and reading the self-transformation books, and it's like adding fuel to your personal love fire. And for me, it was like every day I'd slowly wake up. And then all of a sudden, I had my yoga teacher reached out because she had seen me posting my social media stuff and was like, hey, could you help me with my business? And then her healer friend reached out. And so it snowballed into, now I have this business and I have a decision to make, to stay in this 9 to 5 or really step in and own this part of me that's wanting to rise up so badly. I couldn't suppress that shit. Like, it was time. And so I was able to slowly but surely peel away from that 9 to 5 job.
So you said you couldn't suppress it anymore, but with your soul's voice getting louder, because she typically whispers, that means she's yelling over fear, right? So what was that fear that was like, ooh, like looming over, like if you quit your 9 to 5, or if you go after this idea or this dream, like what was that fear in the beginning for you?
That I didn't know enough, that who am I to start talking about these things, who am I to talk about meditation? Like at that point, it was like, really, I'm going to tell people that meditation is going to help you wake up in life? Or, it was just fear of like, who am I? Who am I to say this? And then what if everything falls away? What if this is just this grandiloso idea that I have in my head from reading some self-transformation book that I'm going to be able to do this, and there was a lot of fear in the beginning. There was a lot of fear.
Knowing what you know now, what would you go back and tell yourself that was about to jump off the like entrepreneurship ledge? Like, what would you go back and tell yourself? Like, this is what you need to know to like soothe those fears, right?
Mm-hmm. You're going to be running with yourself and your soul will never abandon you. You will never feel like, there's days where it's hard, of course, but there are days that you get so much gratification out of the work that you're meant to do than the work that you get paid in a 9 to 5. I've never felt the depths of my soul or my healing or anything in my life as it does compared to being my own boss in my own career. I could never get that in a 9 to 5. I would tell her it's worth it. Every little bit of it is worth it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so interesting because I find myself telling that to women all the time during readings, is like, this work isn't easy, but it is so worth it because of what you talk about, that spiritual fulfillment that so many people I feel like are lacking in their day-to-day lives. I think a lot of it has to do with our mindset and perspective. Like, we aren't cultivating enough gratitude in general as a society. So we're waiting for these big, like you said, big freaking moments to like finally feel validated or finally feel like it's like I'm worthy, or things like this is it. Like we're waiting for some huge sign. Mm-hmm. But I truly believe that if we just find a little bit of gratitude in like where we're at today, like when you started your website, when you started your business, was it perfect?
No.
Probably not. Did you even know who the hell you were or how you were serving the world? Like I just got off a call. Someone said, I've been stuck on writing the copy on my homepage for the last 2 weeks. And she literally said, hey, empath, you can reclaim your power. Mm-hmm. I said, damn girl, you just wrote that copy. Like you just spoke it. And that's what I find is that we think we need to know exactly what it is before we get started, or we have to make it perfect before we get it out there. Yeah. How was that process for you, and like naming yourself and coming up, like, cause in entrepreneurship, it's all you. You get to decide, you have to show up, you have to put in the work, you name it, you come up with the rules, you decide who your clients are, you decide what your products and services are and how much you charge. Like it's a lot, but it is so doable. And once you get that foundation built, it's so much easier. So like looking back in the beginning, a lot of women say, well, I'm afraid to charge. I am so like, especially if you've never charged for your services before, because you've always been told like, oh, well, you're only going to get paid X amount of dollars an hour. That's what we're going to give you. As an entrepreneur, you get to decide, I want X amount of dollars and that's who I'm going to work with. So how was that for you? Like putting a price tag on your services?
So good. My first ever thing that I ever put out there was a $7 chakra cleanse ebook. And I poured my soul into it. I mean, it was a labor of love. It was so much fun. That's the thing. It's like when you find that thing that's speaking to you and the books that you're listening to or the podcasts you're listening to, and all of a sudden there's that thing that really sticks, make it your own. And then when you're creating it, just get bliss the F out, because I remember that was probably 4 years ago now, 4.5 years ago. And creating it, I had such a blast that the second that it went out, it was like, I don't care who buys this, but I had so much fun in the process. And, you know, I'd been kind of given little snippets and things like that online of what I was up to, and just sharing, you know, this is why I drink, you know, heart chakra. This is what the heart chakra means to me. This is why it's green. And this is how I start my day. And, you know, that type of thing. I put it out there. My husband and I went to dinner, and I looked over at my email, and there was like, bing, my PayPal was going off, bing. It was like every 20 minutes, someone was purchasing it. And I was like, holy crap. I think I made $50. Like, this is amazing. Like, I felt like I won the lottery. It literally was so gratifying. It felt so meaningful. And it just felt like, you know, the women that are going to get this, they're going to be able to go through this cleanse, and they're going to learn something about themselves along the way. And like everything that you do in your business and everything you create, like you were saying, you get to create whatever you want and price it however you want. When it comes from this place of it just feels so effing good, that is your marketing. Like, that's what calls people into it. And so, yeah, that was my wake up call for sure. I mean, I can remember what I was wearing that night and like everything of the moment, because it felt so good.
Yeah, that's like a monumental moment when you know exactly what outfit you were wearing. Like, I can recall those red boots. Like, I know exactly what I was wearing. But here's the thing that you pointed out is your first offer was $7.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be $1 million. Like, we get so caught up in seeing like Gabby Bernstein's 6-figure launches, or anyone else that's been doing it for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And we don't realize that when we're just getting started, like, we can't compare our chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. And this idea of like, well, what if I can't charge high prices for my services? Mm-hmm. Everyone has $7. Mm-hmm. Well, most people have $7. Okay. Most people have $7. So the idea just to start small, like, I know someone who's making 6 figures a month on a $7 ebook. So it's possible to create wealth and create one $7 product. It's just, you have to make sure that what you're teaching about, one, like you said, you're so in love with and so in alignment with, because that passion that you pour into it is what magnetically attracts the clientele. And then the other part of that equation is what you're offering something that people are looking for and willing to pay money for? Because that is another huge part of like, how do I pair my gifts and talents with something that people will actually purchase? So can you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to create Boho Business School? Because it sounds like it's answering a lot of these questions where women are like, I don't know what to create, or I don't know how to brand myself. Like, can you tell me why Boho Business School was born? Like, what made you create that?
Yeah. And well, I came up with the name, the Bohemian Blonde, about 5 years ago. And she was like my Sasha Fierce, right? It was that person that you can all make up your own Sasha Fierce, because it's super fun to play with. When you get in this, like, I want to move forward, what would my Sasha Fierce do? That was my Bohemian Blonde. So when I came up with it and started to embody and feel it, and this whole new level was happening, I knew that I had this business side of me, because I'd find myself naturally gravitate towards, you know, business coaching books and business podcasts and entrepreneurial podcasts. And I thought, okay, as soon as the chakra ebook was done, there was something more bubbling, you know, from the surface. So I started to pull together everything I learned in corporate, and then everything that I learned in the spiritual world, and pull it all together to help women that wanted to create a $7 chakra ebook, or wanted to create a yoga series, or just wanted to get started by sharing their passion in the world. And so the reason why it's called Boho Business School is it's a pull down from the Bohemian Blonde, which is like Sasha Fierce, right? Go do it. So it's already got that go-getter energy in it. So it's really for that woman that is looking to get started in your own way, in your way that feels good. It is so important to know, like what you said, Brittany, is know who you're talking to. Get that validation that people actually want what you have to offer. I can't tell you how many times I have created stuff that was not validated, that was like total flop. So it's good to, get that feedback, know where you're going. And then the thing is like when you start leading, people want to follow you. You need to know where they're going or how you're bringing them from A to B. And I think there's so many talented women, whether it's a 9-to-5 job or cubicle or, waitressing, that when you get home from 6 to midnight, if there's that thing that is like pulling at you, to try it, to get started, to share your gifts. I mean, look at us. We're all hanging out on social media. You and I first met on social media, and then we got to meet each other in person. But there's millions of people at your fingertips, and just create your small little community of people. And it's so powerful. This time that we live in, we're here for a reason. And when we have a passion, we have to share it, because it's so easy to connect and create with each other,
Yeah, it's interesting because as creatives, which I'm assuming everyone listening to this right now is a creative. I mean, we're all creators, right? But so many of us get caught up, like when we're wanting to start our business, especially like me as a hairdresser, I didn't know business. I didn't know marketing and like customer retention. And like, I knew how to do highlights. Okay. I didn't even know how to balayage back then. So I won't even say that. I knew how to do some haircuts and some highlights. Okay. I didn't really know how to like set up online scheduling and how to like keep a client, how to get a client. Like there's so much structure that does go into building a business. And you can be the most talented painter or artist or creative in the world, but if the world doesn't know about it, if you don't get it out there, then like for what, like you've done a disservice to the world, in my opinion. Is like for example, everyone knows what a Snuggie is, right? Everyone knows what a Snuggie is. Is it high quality? No, because we all own a Snuggie, because somewhere along some stupid Christmas party, you got gifted this goofy Snuggie concept. But you know what? Everyone knows about it because they marketed. And it sounds like Boho Business School isn't just like it's like the combination of, now that I've embodied this like authentic free spirit that loves to do like crocheting and cooking cake, like baking cakes, like whatever it is for you. Now that I have had the courage to do that, what the hell do I do with it? And it sounds like Boho Business School gives you like both the mindset work of like how do I face these fears? And then the practical, tangible, like there's a structure, like it's called a corporate ladder because there is a structure to it. And that is why they are successful. So can you tell me a little bit more about like, I'm someone who's wanting to make that transition. I'm wanting to devote more time to my passion project. Like, what is the first step in Boho Business School? Like, where do we start?
Getting clear on your big vision. Because, and I would say too, with BBS is collapsing that time, and that it takes from either doing it yourself, looking online and like trying to find, how do I do this and how do I do that, and try to like piecemeal it together. It's to get you started. So we talk about your big vision. So I think that's so important. You and I have talked a lot about that with our coaching too together, because it's like, where are you going? Like, where's your needle pointed? Like, what do you want to experience? Why are you doing this? Why your own business? Who are you wanting to work with? And I think getting crystal clear in the beginning of any business, it lays your foundation. Cut out all the clutter, cut out all this stuff. I work with a lot of yogis, especially, right? Yogis, healers, and life coaches and different things like that. And so it's getting really clear on like, what is it you want to do with this? Because ultimately things are going to start manifesting into your life, and we want to be able to navigate through it. So it's getting clear on who you are, your mindset, being able to receive that income too, and going through your branding and strategy, because there's a lot to learn with the strategy behind growing your own business. But I mean, I don't know if anyone has experienced this that is listening, but there's such an oversaturation of stuff out there when it comes to business building. It's almost like deafening. They're like, you could start a podcast, you could start this, you could start that. And then it's like, we don't start and do anything at all because we're just like, well, 15 different directions I could go and I don't know which one I want to do. I think it's so important to get focused on one offer. And that's what I want the women that are coming through this experience is focus on that one offer where you're so lit up that you're like lighting your candles, drinking your matcha and just having a damn party in front of your laptop or your notepad and you're writing it out so that when you do put it out online, you feel confident as hell. It feels good in your soul and you're in that receptive mode to start earning the income back because eventually you'll get to this point where you're going to up-level your prices. And, you know, maybe you start working with people one-on-one, but first it's get started, grow the foundation, learn what you need to know to get going, collapse like 5 years of what it would normally take to do this on your own and get it off the ground and start sharing your passions. So
I love that. You know, that's ultimately why I created Shine School too, was because I went through this long, awful journey of discovering who I am and uncovering the pain and the trauma that I had experienced and doing forgiveness work. And there was a lot of darkness that needs to be brought to the light for you to accept your authentic self in a holistic way. And I found that like so many women avoid some of these topics. And you mentioned one of them, it's receiving. We are, as females, we are the womb. We are the receptor. Like we are the ones that are supposed to like be the flow, like the catching of the flow, right? So I find it really interesting that, you know, some of these fears that come up are really basic, like self-care. And it all boils down to like, if you want to be successful in business, if you want to serve your audience and provide the best customer service and like, I don't know, like have that excellent, like high class business, a lot of it ends up boiling down to like, what does your self-care look like? What is your self-worth and your self-love practices? So can you take us behind the scenes of like your self-love, like your self-care, like what do you do for yourself when you are feeling like shit or, you know, cause like, it's all great to be positive and loving in the easy moments, but like when business is hard and you had to write 95 emails and then your computer crashed and you lost all your copy, like what do you do during those times to like get centered again?
Yeah. For me, it always comes back to, am I eating well? Did I get enough sleep? You know, really the basics. So if I've got the basics in check, it's great. I was on Instagram the other day and I was like, my husband and I celebrate Wet Wednesday. So if that's a little too much for you guys, it's not too much. They can handle it. But it's like, you know, you got to be turned on to life. And I think all of us have that light within inside that we need to turn on as part of our self-care practice. And your business is an extension of your energy. And so the more that you are approaching it excited, fun, you want to play with it, and you're taking breaks away from it. My husband and I just went on a little staycation for our anniversary. And the moment you're away, you're like, whoa, all these ideas are coming in. This is amazing. And it's because we're not sitting in front of the computer. So the more I can pull myself away from the computer, it's like the more self-care, the more my income grows, you know? So
I say the more orgasms I have, the more money I make. So it seems like we're on the right path here. It's like, just like you said, Chris and I just went to the woods to celebrate our anniversary same time. And when I came back, I didn't do business, which is really hard for me. Like I love it so much because I picked something I'm passionate about. I love helping people. Like people love me helping them. So it's like a really beautiful synergy. And I love to tap into that energy all the time. But I gave myself permission to unplug, to like literally like, I can't do everything for everybody. I've got to take care of me. When I came back, I logged into my account. And as many of you know, I hit $100,000 in Kajabi. I became a Kajabi hero for that. And it was just like, I was doing nothing but taking care of myself and things are happening. And so we feel like we're built in this masculine culture and society of we've got to be pushing, we've got to be doing. But just like you mentioned, that feminine flow of receptivity is how we connect to our intuition. How are we ever going to hear those gentle whispers on what the next step is if we're trying to force with our mind that next step? Such a masculine quality. So I feel like you've done such a beautiful job in balancing like the practical structure, analytical masculine side of business, but knowing that if you're going to be a free spirit and go after your wild and crazy dreams, that there does need to be structure, because when you wake up tomorrow, you have to be in control of setting your alarm for doing the work, contacting clients. Like, no one, your mom is not going to come and do it for you, you know? So it takes a lot of responsibility. How do you stay on track with like, especially like while you're in that balancing both mode where you have your 9-to-5 job and you're building your career? How do you balance it all?
I think well, when I was in my 9-to-5, I took such advantage of my lunch breaks. It was like my time. I knew middle of the day, because I'd be getting these ideas in my 9-to-5 where I'd have a pen and paper next to me. And it was like, oh, what about this? And, oh, this feels really good. Why don't I, And so I would always take myself out for lunch, no matter what. And even when coworkers were like, why are you going to hang out around here? And I was like, I got plans. Like, I got to go. So there's a coffee shop, and it's just right down the road from here. And sometimes I go there, and I wish I could tell that girl that was coming to the coffee shop day after day, this is going to pay off. This is going to pay off. It's going to be amazing. You're going to go on retreats, and you're going to do all this stuff, and keep the vision. And that's the biggest thing. I know it's hard when it hits 6 o'clock and you get home and you've had a belly full of food, and the last thing you want to do is like work on a business. Save it for the weekend if you need to, because really, you and I know this too. It's like, it only takes a couple hours, like when you're in it, to get really focused, turn off all the distractions, turn off all the tabs, and just like let that heart pour out. Or grab the notepad where you had that great idea in a coffee shop and just elaborate a little bit more. And it's not worth pushing ever. It really isn't, because when we push, we resist, and people can feel it online when we're showing up aggressive and like, ugh, like, we've all had network marketing people reach out, and it's been like, oh, this feels a little like copy and paste right now. No, nothing against network marketing. I was one too, and it was amazing. But go approach it in a way that feels good, balance it,
I love that. I think, what's really important, like you've pointed out, is that when you come home, you have a short period of time where you still are productive. So like, can you find windows in your life where you can contribute time to this new project? When I was building Shine School, it took me 1.5 years. Could I have done it in a month if I just had nothing else on my plate? Sure. Could I have done it in 2 to 6 months if I would have like put the pedal to the metal and like force, and even forced through lessons and topics that I wasn't sure if I wanted to include, that I didn't know how it would fit in. But I gave it so much time to breathe. I spent time talking to every client that sat in my chair, asking like, what do you really struggle with when it comes to self-care? Oh, guilt. Let's put a lesson in on that. What do you really struggle with when it comes to going after your dreams? Oh, you suck at time management? Okay, let's put that in there, So it took a long time, and I had to be okay with that slow pace. And I constantly reminded myself, I am okay with this slow pace. I'm going to be patient, because I am balancing every category in my life, from owning a hair salon to being a wife to being myself and still discovering who all this magical being is, and to creating this new project that my soul has like put me up to task. Like, this isn't like a small thing. Like, I kept telling myself, this is the legacy I leave behind. Yeah. If I create Shine School and I'm done and I fall off the face of this earth, I did what my soul came here to do, and everything else moving forward to me is just extra fun shit, because I've got the time here to create and help to contribute. Time's going to pass anyway, so we might as well be doing what we love and enjoying every moment of it, because that is a choice, just as it is a choice to wake up and decide what clothes you wear, what food you eat, and who you wake up next to. You know what I mean?
And Shine School is such a return home. Like, I will tell, if anyone's listening, like, I think you totally have to use your line on this of all women need to be in this. The whole, everyone that has a vagina needs to be
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that's it. Like if people ask like, who is Shine School made for? Anyone with a vagina is what I've told Seana in the past, is what she's referring to. If you have a vagina, you need Shine School. Whether you think you love yourself, or you know how to forgive, or you know how to like reframe your negative thoughts, or you know how to whatever, like,
yeah.
if you have a vagina, there is something in Shine School for you. And I always feel like a lot of women that come to Shine School and they say like, oh, I need this, and then for some reason choose to walk away, they end up being drawn back. And the story they tell themselves, like, but I might already know this. I'm sure I already know this. But if you're being drawn to certain people, certain books, certain courses, then there is something there for your soul. And it's just so beautiful to know that we all have the ability to share our gifts with the world. But it really, what it boils down to, and this is what I found, is so many people are making products on how to make money because people want to make money. I decided I'm going to go against what seems very lucrative and very easy to get out there. I could teach hairdressers how to be six-figure stylists, but my soul kept saying, you've got to create Shine School. You have to teach women to love themselves, because if they don't love themselves, how the hell are they going to have the courage to go through the fear that comes up when building your business or following your intuition? I mean, that's a big one. We're all intuitive beings and we're all being guided. And so many of us, it's not that we can't hear it. We all hear it. It's just that we're ignoring it because we're afraid to step outside of our comfort zone. And Shine School really was the foundation for all of those things, so that, like you said, we can collapse time. That's why we share our gifts, so that we can help other people get there faster, so that we're not wasting time in guilt. We're not wasting time in regret. We're not wasting time in stress and fear and doubt of like, what if this doesn't work? Well, it's definitely not working if you don't do it. So we might as well just start.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm sure if you want to go this direction, I mean, this is where I was hitting roadblocks in my business. And I don't want anyone to think that it's all rainbows, unicorns, and glitter all the time. And like, everything is incredible, because what I was missing in the beginning of my business was I came through the floodgates running. It was like, here we go, I'm sprinting, let's do this. And that fear that was at my back was like, if this doesn't work, you're going to have to go back to a job and you're going to look like a failure. And then everyone that thought you were doing so great in your 9-to-5 that you were like, oh, I'm going to quit this job, are going to look at you like you're a complete and utter failure. So I hit the ground running, went wild for the first 1.5 years, and I think I slept 2 hours during that time. And I learned what burnout really meant. And on top of it, I had a meeting with my OBGYN, and she said, hey, looks like, this abdominal pain that you're having is actually a huge grapefruit fibroid, and you're going to have to get surgery. So, whoa, like, stop the car. This is crazy. I need to heal. I need to stop, drop, and heal this body, because I cannot be in race mode forever and ever and ever. And ended up going through surgery, and along with surgery came so much healing, so much slowing down, letting things go by the wayside, and being okay with just, a business count that went down to $0, clients that were like, oh, you're not doing so good, like, you heal, I'm gonna go over with this other coach now, and my heart being like, what? And massive transition had to happen. And again, when you call in the people that you want to collapse that time between, not like you need to collapse time and healing, but just to get to where you need to be, I rejoined your elevated life. And I'm sure all of you guys in here know what elevated life is, but I think it was purpose. You guys were talking about purpose, like
finding your passion and purpose.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was in the bathtub. Oh my God. And I had my laptop on the side of the bathtub. And I think you had said something during the elevated life, and I'm like, I need to work with Brittany. I really need to get back on track. I need to heal. I need to mend. I need to heal relationships, heal everything. And the rebirth happened. The rebirth of BBS, which I never thought would come back again. I didn't think I would ever launch it again until it was such an intuitive hit through our process of working together that, wait a second, there are still women that want this. There are women that, you know, they want to grow their businesses. They want to get started. And there are right ways and wrong ways of doing it. There's hurdles you can avoid. And just like Shine School, I mean, the emotional part of you leading your own life can bring up a lot of stuff, can bring up a lot of baggage, can put invisible roadblocks in front of you for months or years. So yeah, it's, oh my gosh, I wish everyone needs to work with you, and everyone needs to get into the elevated life and Shine School.
Well, if you work with me, you get a year of the elevated life and Shine School. So
Yes.
there is that. I so appreciate that. And I want to know, like, so you were crying in your bathtub. I have had the crying in the shower moment, and those moments of sweet surrender to the soul are the moments that everything begins to shift. So if people are listening right now and they are on the brink of tears and quitting, I've tried to quit this job 85 times since I've started. Okay. Like, you're going to like come to those moments where you're crying in the bathtub and you're like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, you're going to be there. You will, no matter what. If you go after your dream, if you try something courageous, you're going to hit one of those moments. And I'm so proud of you for taking that courageous leap and saying, you know what, I can't do this alone. Because although we can figure it out, there's Google, there's YouTube videos, like, you can piecemeal it together, but it does take so much time. And we really don't have a lot of that here. After my mom had her stroke and almost didn't wake up, I realized, like, we aren't promised tomorrow. And that's what got my butt motivated to create Shine School. It was because I knew that my mom overgave and didn't take care of herself. And that's what almost killed her. And it sounds like you had the same physical scare, so that you would slow the fuck down, take care of yourself, and know that it's not a race, like, but it is a matter of consistency. Yeah. So it's not about trying to push to the end and be number one. Like, it's just about, like, how can I show up every day and share a little bit more of the authentic self of me, and how can I be of service to other people in my community and this planet, because you are here with wisdom and knowledge, and the world needs that. And I feel like oh my God, I just had this genius idea. We should team up and do like a bundle package where we sell Shine School and BBS together. Because it's like the twofold situation. Like, if you can love yourself and do all the healing work and like accept your darkness, then it's going to be so much easier to deal with that darkness when she comes up. Because it doesn't disappear when you're enlightened. It just, it's also like a part of the show, and you can accept that. So I feel like we should totally do some kind of bundle package.
Let's do it.
Yeah. How about anyone that join, like, because you're launching BBS like right now. So I feel like anyone who joins BBS, like, access to Shine School, or I don't know, we need to collaborate on this. Yeah. This is how business is done, people. You just get two minds with two minds together, and two hearts that are dedicated to the same thing, helping, empowering, inspiring, and ideas come. You don't need to know the next step. You just have to trust that intuitive hit. And that intuitive hit for me was, people need both. They need the self-love and like the foundation of self-care, and the mindset of like, I am confident in myself. And then how do I get all of this out to there? So I think we've got something going here, sister.
100%. I love that. That's oh my gosh. Yes.
And that's how you know when you've hit something, when it feels good. Like, we're over here freaking having soulgasms. Like, oh my God, like, I love that idea. Yeah. So this is really how business is made in the spiritual entrepreneur world, is like, what feels so good to you aligns with what feels right. And like, can you team up with other people? And it's so beautiful that we're able to, connect and share your story tonight on the Shine Spotlight, because I know there are so many women out there that are on the brink of just saying, fuck it, and just taking that leap of faith and saying, I am interested in this, or I'm coming out of the woo-woo closet, or whatever it may be. I know so many people are right on that precipice of change, and we are change makers. We are leaders, and we lead by example. And I hope that everyone listening and watching to this episode really takes away that one piece of courageous action that they know they intuitively need to take, and that they hold themselves accountable to taking it. Whether you need a coach or a course that will hold you accountable, that will guide you through, Seana and I are here to support you. So if you are someone who's like, I have an idea, don't exactly know what I want to do with it, but I want to get it out into the world, Boho Business School is that online course. And I can testify to it because I've helped her put it together. Like, it was all of her idea, but I, gave my insight on, like, I know what women need and like how to put that together. And you've done such a beautiful job of taking all of what you've already created, because like you said, you resurrected this and you never thought you would bring this back to life. And when she told me about it, I was dying over here. Like, no, like, I know that women need that, because maybe you feel like the women you already know this information, but think about how many more generations to come forever are going to go through the same process. Like, I fucking hate myself. Like, how do I love myself? Okay, now I love myself, and now I want to tell people about it and get this business into the world. Like, we're never going to run out of people that are going to need like our message. And I know that that's true for every single person on this planet. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. So I think this is just a reminder that if you're watching and and your intuition has been guiding you to like get your message out into the world, this is it. What advice would you give to that person right now who's like 1 foot in and 1 foot out, but really wants to make that jump? What's your push for them?
That you need your sisterhood, that you need that group of women that get you, that speak your language, that are meditating and yogaing and journaling and doing all the things and pulling oracle cards,
manifesting.
And when I know how weird it can feel when you don't have your tribe and you're waking up and you feel, I'm getting goosebumps all over, when you feel so lit up by this knowledge that you're learning, or maybe you've known this knowledge for a long time and you've had this running Word document or journal, and it's like, I want to do this. I really want to do this. And I want to lead and help other people experience this because it feels incredible. I mean, it's no different than going yoga for the first time and you're like, that was amazing. So everyone has a different vibration. Everyone has, Brittany has a different tone of voice. I have a different tone of voice. Certain people will pick up on my voice. Certain people will pick up on Brittany's voice. And that's the same thing with you guys. It's, you carry a vibration, and the way that you say it and the way that you teach it, there are people waiting to hear it. They're waiting in the wings for you to come out and showcase yourself, because you have to say it in your way and it resonates with them. And there's no greater feeling than experiencing a ripple effect of you saying yes to you, because you have no idea the women you're going to meet, the experiences you're going to have. I mean, I've had mind-blowing retreats that I've met up with students, and all of a sudden they're sitting in the teacher role, and I'm like, my God, this is so cool. I mean, they're now teaching because they said yes a year ago. And there's no greater feeling. It's so incredible.
And that's like literally how I feel sitting here right now, because you said yes 90 days ago.
Yeah.
To my coaching intensive. And I mean, you switched from Teachable to Kajabi, you resurrected a program, you refilmed it, you made new workbooks, you created a beautiful ass sales page. Like, you have literally done so much. You have blown my mind, and working with you has been one of the best experiences. And I am so grateful to be able to showcase your sparkle magic here on the Shine Spotlight, because what you're doing for the world is so important, because so many women have a dream and they want to get it out there, but they don't know how. And BBS, Boho Business School, is that first foundation to like creating that $7, ebook that just gets you started. And when you see that email go cha-ching, cha-ching, it's like, ooh, I want to keep doing this. Like, it was the first time I ever did hair extensions and got paid $600 in cash. I was like, you better believe I'm going to spend 3 hours doing that service. And that is essentially what afforded me through beauty school, was doing some stripper hair. Okay. Not going to lie. Like, we all got to start somewhere. Right. Yeah. So tell people, like, since you're launching BBS right now, the doors are open, like they close soon. Like, how do people go and find out more information? And I think we need to add Shine School as a bonus, or like, we need to do something. We're doing something here. Okay.
A powerful combo. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh. So good, Brittany. You need to come in and like speak at the end or something too. Let's do like an after, like a wrap up party or something like that, and just riff with all the women. Okay. So reach out. I love just walkie talkie with people. You know, if you're on the fence and you're like, here's my idea, this is what I'm thinking, I want that validation to talk to someone. I would love to hear from you and hear what your idea is and where you're at, and to really see if it's a fit for you, you know? And so reach out, Facebook, Instagram.
I feel like your Instagram is like always on point, and like you show up so beautifully and authentically, and you share so much like content and wisdom and tips and inspiration that I feel like people should definitely check you out on Instagram. Where can they find you so they can shoot you that DM?
Yeah. Over at The Bohemian Blonde on Instagram.
Yeah, so amazing. I've got a few last questions before we wrap up here, and I want to know, people are curious, so what book are you currently reading?
Oh, it's on my nightstand. It's called something creative. It's all about the chakras, and creative intuition, I think it's called. It's really good. I just started it. I read all your books that you sent me too, which were phenomenal.
Thank you. I always love sending like a little goodie package with things that I feel like would just support your growth, you know, and give you the wisdom and the tools that you need. So I'm so glad that you were, you know, Living with Joy is one of my all-time favorite books ever. And I send it to literally everyone I work with because it's like the foundation. And again, here we are talking about everything has a foundation, your spiritual growth and enlightenment, your business, your self-care, like everything does have a structure to it. Okay. What else? What are you currently curious about? Like, what are you like in the back of your mind? Like, I'm curious about like this weird topic right now.
Do you really want to know?
Yes, girl.
I have had such a fascination lately with aliens. I know this.
I knew that was coming. I just had a feeling. You've been on aliens for a little bit. There's something coming up for you.
There's something. I don't know what it is, but I like alien documentaries and things like that. I don't know. I'm geeking out on it. I think it's so fascinating, and we're not alone. And it bewilders my mind. It makes me curious. So,
are there any like documentaries or podcasts specifically that you like to check out for aliens?
I've been looking on YouTube, but yeah, I don't. What is I think you told me Coast to Coast.
Coast to Coast.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's really good. So,
dude, listening to Coast every time I'm like, say what? There was one on like the 528 hertz and how our heartbeat and heart chakra vibrate to 528 hertz, how music, when it's in alignment with that, like how it affects us, how chlorophyll actually resonates to 528. And if you think about it, chlorophyll is what is green in the earth, like in nature, and our heart chakra is represented by green. So like green vibrates to that frequency. Like vibration and frequency are definitely a thing that I'm curious about right now. And final question, if you could have a billboard on the side of a road, what would it say?
Is it time to say peace out to that 9 to 5?
Ooh. And then in little subscript, it would say, hell yes.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It would.
Oh my gosh. And any last words of wisdom to that 9 to 5er that's ready to escape and knows like, I know I have something here. I know I'm meant for more, but I just am not exactly sure what's going on. I'm a little bit afraid, not sure what that next step is. What advice do you give to her?
Dip your toe in the water. Well, don't dip, dive. You get to be with yourself through this process and grow and evolve and change and become this woman that you think of when you're looking out the 9 to 5 corporate window, or you're driving to work, or you're pouring your coffee in the morning and you're dreading going into a job. It's so worth you exploring the evolution of you. It's so worth it. So
so I guess it sounds like if there is any dread on your way to work, it's time to make a change.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to shine your sparkle magic on the Shine Spotlight. It has been such a pleasure, not only getting to talk today, but working with you intimately. And thank you for allowing me into your heart. This is a even more exciting interview because I really have gotten to know you over the last few months and the few years that we have been connected because of our online social connections. So that just shows the power that you may feel alone in your business. You may feel alone in your family, like the rainbow sheep. You may feel alone, but trust me, you're not, because there are tons of other women out there. Whether you find them in my Shine Tribe Sisterhood, or even Seana has a Facebook group for those bohoers that are getting their business started. You know, you aren't alone. The most important thing for you to recognize is to reach out and ask for help, because it doesn't make you weak. It makes you stronger. And the more support and community that you surround yourself with, the easier it will be to step outside your comfort zone and to move through the fear that comes up when you're intuitively guided to take that next step, because you have that supportive team behind your back saying, you can freaking do this. So remember, you can freaking do this, and we have got your back. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you know someone who would love this message, please tag them in the comments below and share your aha moment. What was that shining light for you where you were like, oh my gosh, this is where I'm stuck. This is what I needed. What was that nugget of wisdom? Let us know in the comments below, because you never know. Your insight may inspire someone else's transformation. So let us know, and we thank you so much for being a part of this special series on the Shine Spotlight. We'll catch you next time. Peace.